Hey everyone. I felt to jump on. It's kind of about 6:30 Easter Tuesday morning in West Aussie, and I made a couple of videos in the last week, but I just wasn't quite feeling it to put them out there, and I've been wanting to keep pretty consistent with the vids through this really powerful time on the earth. Just, I don't know, sharing my own experiences, or stuff that pops in that I feel, wow, this could be helpful to someone. And and this morning, just as I was waking up, not every day, but I often like to ask universe. I say, hey universe, it's like, how may I best serve you today? And generally some words come, or a bit of a feeling, but generally, yeah, some words come in, and it was, can't remember the order, but it was like, be still, get quiet, and slow down. And so this is the non-AI version of Douglas coming through this morning, and just before I had the inspiration to come on and make a vid, I was like, wow, I don't know if you guys have been listening to many AI things. Like, occasionally I'll click on something on YouTube, and I notice that AI does not do stillness very well. It's just like, and then there's a little gap, and it kind of, where perhaps a gap shouldn't be, but it just keeps rolling on, and it's just like, there's no stillness in AI. So if you're ever unsure, you're watching something, you think, oh, is this AI? Generally the voice is just a little bit weird. And if you don't want to listen to AI, watch for the lack of stillness. Happy Easter. Whatever that means. So what's been happening? I had a beautiful Qigong intensive down in Denmark. Not the Easter weekend, but over the weekend before. It was a 5-day kind of, what do you call it? Definitely an intensive, where we train like 3 sessions a day of around about 2 hours. So we're training for about 6 hours a day, and just moving, breathing, and being with a big group. There was probably 60, 70 people showing up for each session, and it was so beautiful, that the nourishment of the family, the community, and then our teacher Roy just holds such a beautiful space, and just, there's enough stillness and quietness, and slowing down and listening, that he can just guide the tribe through all these movements, and day after day, and really so subtle, and at the same time so profound. So I highly recommend Qigong, and it's just been creeping up on me for years, the benefits, or the importance of having a daily Qigong practice. Yeah, it's really, really phenomenal work. So if you've never tried it before, it's like Qigong. Qi is energy, life force. Every different culture has a name for it, and then Gong is movement, or skill. There's a few different kind of meanings, but basically energy movement, energy skill, or moving the blood, working the blood, and one of the beautiful things that is just such a constant in the work is softening this whole chest area, emptying the chest and letting the heart rest. And when that heart when our heart starts to rest, quite often in my day-to-day, if I'm singing or dancing or surfing, or in these spaces where I'm really kind of my inner child gets so alive, there's a bit of this, wah! And I guess life in general, hey, when we have challenges or confrontations or these times when there's sort of extra stress moving through our lives, which is a bit of here's that word, a bit of a pandemic on the planet. I think stress is probably one of the most influential things on depleting our immune systems and sort of taking us to the grave sooner than we need to be going. So heart resting. Even though I was watching something on longevity last night, and they were talking about this. It was an old Chinese man back in the late 1700s or something, and apparently he lived to like either around about 160 or 200 years old, and they sort of asked him, at the time it was documented, that what's your secret for living so long? And he said, I think he said a quiet heart. I think the word was quiet. So it's amazing that link between the rested, could have been rested heart, but I think it was quiet heart. So keeping the heart quiet. Then the mind once the heart quietens, the mind quietens as well. And that can bring some more stillness in our chaotic, amplified energies time on planet Earth. And I thought this morning, I was like, wow, with these things, get quiet, or be still, get quiet. It's a nice invitation to have a look through our lives of where perhaps there isn't so much stillness or quiet, and what is bringing the stress, and it can be so many different areas, even the ones that we're not even so aware of, like the obvious ones can be financial, health, relationships, your work, whatever we're doing in our human day-to-day activities. What is it that is creating that inner chaos, and how can we navigate that? And even at the moment, with so much solar energy, so much energetic intensity, it's that alone is creating a lot of stress and a lot of unquiet in our system. So how do we navigate all these things, and I don't think there is any one specific thanks for listening. I'm really I'm glad that I jumped on to make a vid, because often these days I just love to share, and often there is a real overflow and a wanting to give and to share, and it's almost like an unburdening for me to jump on here and share what's moving through, or rattling around in my brain. Mm. Yeah, so individually, our um, our path to more stillness or more quiet is going to be so unique. You know, if you've got tons of energy moving through your system and circular thoughts off the charts, it's a really nice path for this is to, I guess, go down the style of the Osho active meditations, which is all about, you know, if you try to sit down and get quiet when there's, you know, a million volts of energy running through your system, it's going to be really hard to find some stillness. So the theory behind the Osho active meditations was that a lot of us Westerners need to exhaust that energy or move it through before we can come to stillness. So that's where, you know, just whatever you can do to move your body, Qigong, yoga, dancing, going to the gym, walking in nature, going for a jog, swim, surf, just whatever's needed to just get everything moving. And then once that energy has had enough time to move, naturally things will just come more to a stillness. So if you've got loads of energy, movement is the key. And if you don't have loads of energy, you can probably just go straight into stillness. Or maybe, you know, if you're exhausted and you're having a snooze, you know, having an afternoon siesta, or making time to really give importance to healthy sleeping and trying to make sure you get in bed around 9 o'clock, you know, 10 at the latest, so you're having that really good, nourishing time of deep rest. So then your nervous system is going to be much more balanced through the day. And also, you know, making sure that your nourishment, your food, there's enough protein and enough nutrition and nourishment that you're not constantly in fight or flight. You know, if I don't eat enough protein, I'm hungry, especially if I'm surfing heaps and qigonging and dancing and all these things. My body needs fuel that can sustain it, and if I don't eat enough protein, I'm kind of in fight or flight. I'm hungry on a deep level, and that's going to there's going to be no stillness in that. So yeah, making sure you're nourishing the vessel enough that that you can just find more peace, come out of the fight or flight. And it's a real experiment, hey, our day-to-day of just this self-analysis, or observing what's happening in our days, and even fight or flight. Yeah, it's a beautiful one to be aware of, because if we're constantly in fight or flight, and whether it's we're not feeling safe at our work, or, you know, the work is so stressful that it's running through our systems 24/7, and is always thinking about work, work, and there's never space to actually just to rest, you know. So it's a real unfolding and a real balancing act, finding this, the Buddhists call it the middle path. Stillness, quiet, breathing. And yeah, and the witness, always just bring in the witness. I've spoken to a few people over the last days, and a lot of us are really having deep moments of struggle, and think it was perhaps Easter Sunday, I had so much moving through my system. As soon as, I think possibly, there was a combination of things. There was the full moon sort of later last week, and then all the Qigong work, and I think Easter Friday, I was just so blissful, and I was, singing and dancing, and there was just so much expansion. And then a few days later, it's just like, and I think since the morning that I woke up Easter Sunday, I was just like, I felt so compressed and so heavy, and it was just like layers and layers of deep grief and confusion, and just like in this space, and I'm so grateful from years of doing the Osho active meditations, or Vipassana, or sitting quietly, or the Qigong, or whatever. All these things has really helped kind of grow my ability to witness. And on that particular day, I was just like blown away, watching all this stuff move through, and doing my best to not resist it or not fight it. It's just like, wow, here it comes. There's tears, there's just depression, there's anger, there's just all those perceived negative emotions are just, and thoughts, all this shit just volcanoing through. And yeah, I'm so grateful to be able to just watch that show and not get sort of caught in it and think, oh no, this is going to go on for weeks, for years. So really practicing that witness, the observer, the watcher, as much as possible, and remembering that it's always moving. Yesterday, Monday, I was surfing all day, and surfing's such an amazing thing because it's so dynamic and physical, and immersed in Mother Ocean, and the most cleansing, powerful way to spend the day. And afterwards, you see surfers afterwards always just blissful and balanced and at peace. Generally, unless they're furious and been fighting for waves and trying to punch people, which happens occasionally. And as we move into these cooler months in the Southern Hemisphere, really as a way of avoiding fight or flight, or finding more stillness and quietness, keep warm. The Chinese medicine is all about keeping those kidneys warm and holding the body warmth to nourish and heal. And there is this path for quite a few years now of the cold, the ice baths and all these things. But unless your body's in a really good state and your nervous system's very strong and balanced, you're just going to flip into fight or flight and survival mode, which is going to bring more stress and sort of depletion. So yes, finding the balance, maybe a very quick ice bath or ocean dip in your boardies or a bikini or whatever. But yeah, just keeping those kidneys nourished and warm, and a few tips for the day: stillness, quiet, observing where we're spinning out in fight or flight, and doing our best to just stay more relaxed, quiet heart, grounded, loving towards ourselves, watching that we're not dumping unconscious crap onto our loved ones, taking responsibility, taking responsibility for our thoughts, for our emotions, and remembering every situation that we're moving through, we've set it up for some reason or another, no matter how intense or how terrifying or challenging it is, just remembering we set it all up, take full responsibility, and do our sort of utmost best to move through it, because it's always changing, always moving. Life. Wow, 20 minutes. I reckon I'm going to upload this one. So yeah, thanks for listening. Hopefully there was some value here with my early morning Easter Tuesday ramble. And I'm just looking at my flyer that I did up for the Qigong, the Wednesday Qigong. It's probably reversed, but on there I've got moving, breathing, softening, allowing, listening. Oh, and if anyone watching this is free on a Wednesday morning at 9:30, come along to Qigong in Margaret River. Okay, sending a lot of love, and always remember your amazingness. See ya.